Spinning. There it is.
There's the chime. So welcome everybody to Nearpod. It's more than you know. It is one of our Schenectady 6. Schenectady 6 are the 6 tools that we in the digital learning department have chosen to sort of make our highlighted focus of the year. We know that there's so many tools. And so we tried to make ourselves be mindful of the fact that there are so many tools that are available to folks. And as I saw somebody just joined, I do want to point out that there is closed captioning in Google Meets. I know that sometimes I forget to point that out, but there is closed captioning and it should pick us up pretty well and show you everything we say in addition to hearing us on your speakers. So this is Nearpod. It's more than you know. Brought to you by Michael and me. Michael and I work as digital learning coaches with Rick Dakar. If you've never met us before, I serve Oneida Middle School and its feeder elementary schools, and we all three meet up at the high school. And
I'm a downtown tech boy. I work with Mount Pleasant. Their feeder schools: Hamilton, Pleasant Valley, Van Corlear at Fulton. Big picture learning, and then part of the high school. And then Rick is Midtown tech person. He does Central Park and their feeder schools. He has City as our campus, and again, another third of the high school.
Absolutely. So today we've put together a little agenda here, and we are going to look at Nearpod from a bunch of different directions today. And if you've ever used it before, hopefully you're going to gain a couple new things. In fact, there's one thing that's so new, which is the new AI features that Michael always knows about things before me, but I didn't even know about the AI features until about 2 weeks ago. So there's a bunch of new things in Nearpod. So if you haven't been back to Nearpod in a while, even if you used it like during the pandemic, we'll hopefully show you some new stuff. We've got a couple little try it outs in here because we know sometimes it's one thing to hear somebody talk about it, but it's another to do it yourself. We'll do Google Slides in Nearpod, some content library stuff, and then talk about launching it, how to get reports, wrap-ups, timesheets. Please do I think Mr. Redmond has asked us to say, for timesheet's sake, please do be at a computer or workstation of some sort. It's not the kind of thing to do on a phone right now, so try to do that. And we do check the Google Meet attendance log at the end, just so that we can verify with Office of Teaching and Learning that our guests joined us for all or at least most of the hour that we presented. And we will end with a shameless plug for Patriot Tech Camp. But right now, let's try it out. In fact, that is not a live link. I should have made that a live link. So I'm going to make that a live link real quick. Let's see if I can do that. Link. I will also put that link in the chat here. And I'm going to be switching off the slide deck briefly because how do we present Nearpod if we're not actually presenting Nearpod? So what you're going to do is see a Nearpod presentation live with us. It's this one right here. And right now I can see my participants in the lower corner here. I don't have anybody yet, but please do use that join code to join in real quick. Even if everybody can't join, hopefully most of you can join so that you can see sort of what the student experience looks like in Nearpod, especially since some of the tools in this little deck, this isn't going to take us very long. Some of the tools here are some of the tools that folks might not realize are here in Nearpod and things that they could use. So now we're up to 8 participants. And the neat thing about Nearpod in live mode, we're going to talk about it in live mode, and later we'll talk about it in student paced. Nearpod is awesome because it's live interaction with a slide deck and you get student feedback in the moment. So you get to see things. Down here in the corner, hopefully you can see that there's a little eyeball. I can hide student names. And that's essential sometimes, depending on your class and the framework of your classroom. Sometimes, depending on what's going to be answered, I like to hide student names so that there's no embarrassment about wrong answers or anything like that. Anybody who's run Kahoots and quizzes and things like that knows that there is value to blinding the names sometimes. So very first thing, a quick poll. What is your experience level with Nearpod? Is this your first ever look at Nearpod? Seen it a bit, used it quite a few times, or are you a power user? In which case, we really have to impress the power users because we said something that you don't know. It's more than you know. So hopefully we can tell you at least one thing you don't know. And what I can do in teacher mode here, which you can see on my screen, you might have to hop back and forth between the Google Meet and the tab that you're doing Nearpod in. It's a little harder to do in a virtual meeting, but we know that we're working with teachers, so you should be able to just hop tabs so that you can answer. But I can toggle to teacher mode, and we start to see live class results coming in. So this is very similar to, was it Poll Everywhere and Mentimeter are and used to be things that people used for live polling to just get a quick exit ticket or entry ticket or something like that. And what we have right now are a couple power users, couple first-time users, seen it a bit, and that sweet spot of used it quite a few times is in the middle there. So we have folks, as a presenter, if I'm putting myself in teacher mode, I get a quick sense of whether or not, at least at their own admission, my audience knows something or doesn't know something. And that can be really helpful in any given moment, that sort of formative feedback that we get from our students to tell us whether or not we can really proceed with the lesson or we should go faster because everybody has it, stuff like that. So here we go. Why Nearpod? Some folks know that Pear Deck is sort of a corollary-ish to Nearpod, and some people really love Pear Deck. I like Pear Deck. Pear Deck does interactive slide decks as well. The difference with Nearpod is what it can do in addition to just being an interactive slide deck, because it can be almost anything. For example, Jamboard. Some people have lamented the loss of Jamboard this past fall and really have been looking for a way to do Jamboard. Nearpod has a Collaborate board that actually works a lot like Jamboard. So here is a Nearpod Collaborate board. Should load on your screen. Feel free to play with this real quick. You'll see down at the bottom, you can't, it's not that you can just type into it. You can type into it, but you'll also notice that there are ways to record video or to upload video, to record audio, to add a GIF, to add an image. It makes the board a lot more powerful. And for those who loved Jamboard, while you feel free to quickly find a meme that tells how you're feeling today, or throw a GIF in there to show us how you're feeling today. What's really cool, oh, do I have pending on? There we go. You can actually moderate this, and you will find out, unlike Jamboard, you will know exactly who posted each thing. So some folks, myself included, when I used to work with high schoolers on a regular basis through the library program, would use a Jamboard and immediately go, oh no, there's a lot of kids who have put things on here and I don't know which one posted what. And so the really nice thing about the collaboration board here at Jamboard is that it holds all of the different things. I'm going to turn off, that's what I needed to do. I turned off my need to approve student uh-oh, is that Michael? It might be Michael. Sick day. But it's really neat because the kids have this interactive place where they can drop these little post-it note things. Uh-oh. We've got Tired right next to somebody doing the Carlton. And it is Carlton doing the Carlton. So there you go. Awesome. But these have been really valuable. I've seen these even in the elementary level. I've run some of these with students, and it's really powerful to see the kids reacting to each other's posts in this sort of live time. And again, if I wanted to, and I'm not going to embarrass anybody, but I could turn off the blind. It's just going to show who wrote what on screen, just so you see it. So right now it's just asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. I will, in my results later, see all of the student answers. I'll actually know who just did this meme of I'm tired. I'll be able to figure that out based on my teacher report. But in the moment, I can see and take a quick snapshot of the class, or have everybody think around a question in wit and wisdom or iReady or whatever. We can think around something that normally we would be waiting on kids to raise a hand for, or something like that. This can give voice to the voiceless, the kids who either are selected mute or just do not feel confident with an answer, want to try something out, but they're not really clear how to do it. It can be a really good equalizer in the classroom. So that is the Collaborate board. Some people miss Google Expeditions, which was the old VR goggles. Nearpod has VR field trips. So you're about to see the palace at Versailles, but you can, with your trackpad or mouse, interact with this picture. Now I'm interacting with it, but you'll notice on your screen, if you switch over to your Nearpod, you can interact with your own thing and look around. So this is great for scavenger hunts. I've done some work with art classes with this. We've done some music things, going to the opera. Right now I'm at the Palace at Versailles. I have never been to France. This is a great way for me to experience Versailles. And I'm sorry for anybody who's viewing who does get a little woozy with 360 stuff. that can be a little tricky. And so I always do sort of gauge the room when I'm live with kids to see if I'm getting anybody sick by moving the image around too quickly. So I'll try and go slow on that. But it's really neat because you can look through something that otherwise, again, most of the pictures you see of Versailles, you don't get to see the ceiling art, which is really neat. That you can actually enter that. And if you had VR headsets, you could actually go into VR mode. Moving on, Edpuzzle. A lot of people love Edpuzzle. Edpuzzle is still approved for use in the district, but we did not pay for Edpuzzle. We do not pay for subscriptions. However, Nearpod, you can make interactive videos. Now you can see if you're watching my screen in the Meet right now, you can see that I have a choice here between you playing it on your own devices or me playing it for everyone. I'm going to play it for everyone. And you will see, similar to Edpuzzle, that as this video plays, it's an old Super Bowl commercial, there will be a couple moments where it asks you questions, and we'll be able to gauge the class's understanding of the commercial by the questions. Who is this supposed to be? Ronald McDonald, Darth Vader, R2D2, or no answer? Wait, no answer. Don't make no answer your answer. Now, normally I would not be showing the teacher view so that you can't get answers off of the pie chart. So up in the right-hand corner, if you're watching the Meet after you hop back from Nearpod, you can see that I can toggle at any time during my presentation. I can toggle between student and teacher mode. So if I want all the answers from the class, but I don't want anybody to feel embarrassed about their answer, I don't even have to show the answers. So if and it's clear our audience knew that was Darth Vader. But if people didn't know that was Darth Vader, there he goes.
What on earth is this video, Andy?
What's that?
What on earth is this video?
You don't know this one?
No.
It's an old Super Bowl commercial.
It's nightmare fuel. The little hands.
Why is Darth Vader disappointed? And what you'll see here is that, again, similar to Edpuzzle, which was sort of first to that race, although YouTube will now do this right in Google Classroom as well. You can type a quick answer. So I can see the force is not working for him, and that is absolutely, he has no powers. So let's continue the video to see what happens. How did he do that? And again, if I was showing this, which I actually did show this to my class, this is an old commercial when Car Start was still a thing of the future. So let's see here. How did he do that? The force is with him. You're absolutely right. And this is the end of the commercial.
So, Andy, what you're saying is that this is a way for teachers to allow students to watch YouTube videos, even though there is a new guideline in place.
Again, that guideline is an EdLaw 2D thing. We are not against YouTube. We love YouTube. We love sharing YouTube with students. Students can't surf YouTube, but this is actually a safer thing for our elementary schoolers anyway. They can still experience any YouTube content that we need them to. And this is a safe format for them to do it. And yes, remote car start, I guess, back in 2011 was a fairly brand new thing and was enough to dazzle 14 years ago at the Super Bowl. So a couple other things, but wait, there's more, and I'll rip through these real quick. PhET simulations. This one is actually a little more advanced than our elementary level, but what you'll see here is that you now have a choice on your screen. I can't see your screens, but you have a choice on your screen to interact with whichever level is easiest for you. So when you interact, it will give you a line to graph. Again, this is not an elementary one, but you can move things around. You can change where your points are. So there's all these interactives where I can learn how to graph things and what to do. And so that's PhET simulations. Those have science and math explorations that you can include for your class. This one's always a big hit. It's Stonehenge. But use your trackpad to roll and move around. These are Nearpod's 3D interactives. They're similar to the 360 scenes, but you can actually move in and out. There's not an infinite number of these, but you can move in and out of the Roman Colosseum and the Leaning Tower of Pisa and the human skeletal and muscular systems. Or this one's a big hit when I visit third grade, or the great white shark. And so you can actually zoom in. You can bring Mr. Shark's teeth right into the screen, and you can see all these really interactive things that can bolster student learning and understandings in ways that we can only imagine. Drag and drops. Again, I've made this as a deck that would sort of face all teachers, but these are simply drag and drops. They are infinite cloned, so you can grab them and you move them around and you put them, you just move the instructions out of the way and you put them in the correct category that they match. So it's a good way to practice. This one would have to go over there. Moving on real quick because we have a lot more to show you today. A Time to Climb, that is Nearpod's little interactive game that's built in. I'll show you real quick how that works. So all you have to do is choose an avatar on your screen right now. Choose any little animal that you'd like. You can scroll back and forth, and the older animals are down the line, I think, to the right. There's one of the older ones, so they look a little bit more teenagery, or there's little kid ones. But when we have everybody in, I hit start game. It works a lot like Kahoot or quizzes. 3 questions today. What is one benefit of integrating technology in the classroom? Reduces teacher workload, reduces the need for teachers, increases homework load, or limits student interaction. And it's keeping track for me of student answers and whatnot. But as each question finishes, it moves on to the next one. Again, very similar to Kahoot or quizzes. All of this is living in the same slide deck, though. And it does. It can reduce teacher workload if we use it right. Second question, real quick. True or false? AI can help teachers create differentiated materials. And that is not a knock on Michael, who was going to present on this at the secondary department levels last week until a sick child pulled him away from that. Sick children, they're the worst. And yes, it can, by the way. We can teach you that too, but that's not today. What is a potential challenge of using AI in education? Lower educational standards, reduce teacher workload, data privacy concerns, or increase student attendance? And because we're all friends here, I will reveal our winner by turning the blind off on this on the student names so that we can see that our winner is one of my teachers from MLK, Julie Smith.
What does she win?
I have, I think, a virtual T-shirt that I can share with you. It says something like, "I won a digital contest, and all I got was this virtual T-shirt." So there you go. I'll share that with you when I have a moment. Nothing like a virtual T-shirt, but you can also have it where it doesn't reveal the names, and that is Time to Climb. Here's another one, which is just simple vocabulary. This is similar to Quizlet, not Quizzes. Quizlet, the old vocabulary checker. If kids just click on random things, they'll get X's, but if they actually you get the right one, and you'll actually see how many times it took a student to get it right and how many of the total ones that they got right. This is all built right into Nearpod. And that's just a few of the tools available to you as you build lessons in Nearpod. Right now, you'll see me on my screen ending this session because we're going to get back into the other slide deck. But what I want to do is I'm going to actually stay here in Nearpod for just a quick moment and give you the nickel tour. And then you can explore for just a couple minutes before we move on to the next part, which is Michael telling you how we can do this in things that you've already made in Google Slides. But here is the deck that I just taught. It sits here on my dashboard. All of my lessons are right here. To teach it, I just click on Teach. I did a live participation. We'll talk about student paced mode near the end of this. I can edit right here. and it takes me right into my slide deck, and it looks a lot like Google Slides, where the slide sorter is over on the left, and then what is on an individual slide is here in the middle. And then when I click Add New, up comes all of my options. So at the top are the create ones, slides and sways. I never use that one. You can add images and audio. There's your video, similar to Edpuzzle. There's the PhET simulation, which was that math thing. VR field trips are right here. Nearpod 3D, where we got the shark and Stonehenge, are right there. Quizzes, multiple choice, that's the time to climb game that we played. Here's your matching pairs like Quizlet. You can do close activities, fill in the blank. There's the drag and drop like the triangles. And at the bottom, there's your collaborate board, the poll like we did at the beginning. And then you can even just ask an open-ended question. So those are all available, and you can sort them and figure them out. But what we're going to do right now for just a brief moment is give you a chance to head on out to Nearpod. If you've never been to Nearpod, all you have to do is go to ClassLink. If you don't already have Nearpod SSO, which is right here, single sign-on, that's the one that you click to get into Nearpod. Students can get this one on their ClassLink, and that's where they would enter a join code. That's how students would interact with it. At current time, we're looking at possibly getting a student level of account, which is a brand new thing in Nearpod. Michael wasn't even here today. We talked about it with our boss. But when you land in Nearpod, the very first thing that a lot of people do, it can be overwhelming, but they just click create lesson and you can start from scratch. So I'm going to stop talking for just a couple minutes. Take a moment to click on it, click on the favorite thing that you saw just then, and check out one of those tools or a couple of those tools. Start thinking about how it might match up with your classroom. I'll come back to the microphone. Actually, Michael will come back to the microphone and take the presentation over at 3:12 in a couple minutes. So go ahead and peek around.
This would be a good time for you to get that virtual t-shirt up and running. Waiting with bated breath.
I just shared the t-shirt with you, and I will send it directly to Jolie. I didn't want to put it in the chat because not everybody won. So I'm going to send it directly to Jolie, but Michael can put it on screen so that everybody can see.
I'm really afraid to open this. Just putting it out there. Yeah, there you go. And when Nearpod's time to climb, and all I got was this silly virtual t-shirt, and I think it fits.
Ms. McVicker, I will check on that. What I do want to say just to that question and others that are going to pop up in this last half hour, 35 minutes of this presentation, is that all three digital coaches are absolutely ready and willing to come and book time with you and learn with you. If you want Ms. McVicker to put like a little bit more of a description in there, I can work in the background while Michael's presenting.
All right. Speaking of Michael presenting, and this is where, it's much like a Reese's peanut butter cup. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. There's no really wrong way to do a Nearpod and create a Nearpod. You saw Andy's that he created, for this, and he created it right here in lessons. So a good thing to do. I mean, obviously, I'm just going to show you a way to do it, and then I actually show you the way I like to do it. So inside your lessons, obviously, we're talking about Nearpod being an interactive slide deck or an interactive presentation. You can create a lesson from scratch right here. And then this is where you would say, add a new slide. And this is what you have to edit. And, it's a little simple. There's not as many tools up here. You would keep on adding new slides, and this is where you would add like new activities, new files, things like that, and you would just go on and on and on. I'm not the most artistically gifted person in the world, but I like a little bit more customization than that. So, this is a perfectly good way to do it. And, so you can move, and, there's even backgrounds and background colors, and you get your choice of maybe 20 background colors. But for someone who is looking for a little bit more, the way I usually build a Nearpod is right in Google Slides. And so what I can do is I will move over to Google Slides. Now, if you have never used the Google Slides Nearpod extension, it is going to be a fantastic tool for you. So you've all seen Google Slides before. You have Google Slides that are all kind of, 100% done. I'm going to create this very, very nice one right here on the spot. Now, up here in the top right or the top left where it says extensions, there is a Nearpod extension. If you do not have it, you can go to add-ons and you can go get add-ons. But the Nearpod extension is going to be a little sidebar that opens up on the right-hand side. And I don't think this is proper English, but what you can do is if you have a pre-existing slide deck, you can Nearpodize it, if that's a word. You have to be strategery. And so you can see if I wanted to add any one of these activities right here, a drag and drop or an audio or a BBC video or even a FET simulation like we were showing off earlier, or one of the timed climbs or a video, web content, what you can do is you can add it right to an existing slide deck. So me personally, I like working in Google Slides better. I'm a Google guy. I'm familiar with all the tools. So if I wanted to add a matching pairs activity, all I would do is hit the matching pairs activity, start entering my matching pairs, and, tall, and maybe we're doing opposites. So we'll do short, and away you go. And what I would do is just hit save. And what it's going to do is it's going to go through and create a new slide with a Nearpod activity on it. Now, it was really a good thing before last year, but then last year doesn't usually take this long, but only when you're recording something does it take this long. Last year when we adopted things like iReady and Wit and Wisdom, we know that there are slides that come with Nearpod and Wit and Wisdom. So as that's working in the background, we are probably all very, very familiar with some of our slides that look like this that come directly from Wit and Wisdom. So obviously some of these are a little bit, they're used for presentation. Sometimes a teacher has them up, and some of the things, one of the things myself and Andy and Rick work with teachers is that, we have to use the slides from Wit and Wisdom, but necessarily the kids always don't look at the ViewSonic. So good way to do this is to work on Nearpodizing some of these so you can get the kids to stay interactive, and then they'll have the Nearpod activity on their screen. So what I did was I took a random 4th grade module 2 lesson 5 here, and I went through, and it's with Hatchet from Gary Paulson and All Summer in a Day. And right around here where it asks for what emotions or behaviors to the characters of All Summer in a Day show, not overly creative. What I can do is I can add a collaborate board. And then once this gets sent over, you hit save, and it will appear in your Nearpod. So much like Andy was showing you earlier, here is the all summer in a day that I sent over. And then this is where, as Andy showed earlier, you can send this out for live participation mode, where it's up on the board and up on their screens as well. Or you can send it out student paced, which I know Andy's going to get back to in a minute about how to use Nearpod as a differentiated tool for students who are fast finishers or are kids that need a little bit more loving. It's a great way to do it. But if I pull it up here, I'll actually just hit the preview screen and you can see that the slides are kind of as is as they come up, and what character, and then here's my collaborate board. So obviously it makes it a little bit more interactive. There's the question that I pasted right at the very, very top. So it's really, really easy. Now, Andy is awesome. Andy created an awesome Nearpod that he made earlier, created it from scratch. There used to be an old meme where the kids would say, ain't nobody got time for that. But it really is, I mean, I'm not cheating. Was homesick today. So this took me about 2 minutes to make, because that's about as much time as teachers have when they are working. So I took this and within 2 minutes added a collaborate board and sent it right over to Nearpod. Now, again, that is the extension up here. It is just the extension for Nearpod, and it will open up on the side. And then once you add your activity, this was happening a little bit earlier. I know this never happens, but it was just running a little bit slow. There's an option to save to Nearpod, and it will send it over to your Nearpod. I did something similar with a random, I guess I was in a 4th grade mood today, an iReady lesson. So obviously some of our iReady slides that come directly from iReady that are ready-made, and many of our administrators look for them during an observation or a walkthrough. So, I took this question right here. Lilia's aunt plays in a mariachi band, has 2 trumpets. There are 3 times as many trumpets. And I added what they call a draw it activity. So the students can actually use their mouse or type in some stuff and they can draw it right there. If I go back over to Nearpod, I can send it out for live participation mode. I can send it out for however our students want to, however you feel as the teacher is best to use this and to support the kids' learning. So obviously here's R1, and then it turns into the draw it. So the kids can actually take their mouse if they're really good with their mouse, or they can actually just add text and create an open kind of text box right there. So I again, I'm just going to kind of reiterate, if you want to, and I said this to Andy, I said I would love to show off the ability to create in Google Slides and then send it over to Nearpod. I said, because I really hate this interface. And he goes, I don't really mind it. I said, good God, perfect. I said, it's a perfect example for us to do. I think this gets a little clunky. It's a little bit it's a little bit unbecoming. I'm not used to it. So either way is perfectly good with you. Perfectly good. And then as Andy said over here, Andy, I think you're going to get into the AI tools in a minute, or if you want me to do right now.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to hit the AI tools. If you want to show the AI tools real quick, and then I'll take over at the content gallery.
Yeah. So there are, because they didn't want to have their cheese left out in the wind, there is some AI tools that have been added to Nearpod. There are 2 different types of questions. There are standard multiple choice questions, and there are you can make an easy time to climb game. So if I was going to create questions about theme of story in grade 4. And what it would do is, through the magic of television, what is the main theme? When it gets everything. So it'll actually go and create these things right off the bat. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is not 120% prepared on every morning. They didn't stay up late watching the Bills. They didn't do whatever. But if you needed a quick little activity that will get you through, or a bell ringer or an exit ticket, great activity to kind of put this in. I can hit save and enter questions. I want to put these 3.
And that's what's great is you don't have to choose all of theirs, and they're all editable. So
yeah.
You're not stuck with anything. You can regenerate, you can change.
Yep. So right there, and then again, I can hit save and exit and send it out to kids. You can really get up and going within 2 minutes if you needed to get something to just get some quick feedback back from students. So again, one more time, I really love living in Google Slides. And I think with the Nearpod extension, the add-on, it's just a great way to do it. It already takes all the things, especially if you've got, and I know that there's stuff from McGraw-Hill that comes out that are slide decks. Use them. Just use them like this and just add some fun activities in them to keep the kids engaged. So am I passing it back to Andy for content library?
I think so. Maybe. Or do you want to do content library?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
You can do content library.
No, I'm running out of steam. You can do content
library. Fair enough. All right. Here I go. Alrighty, so it's the screen. Sorry, I had to find the right screen. Here we are back at the dashboard in Nearpod, and both what Michael and I both presented just then is something that, yes, maybe Wit and Wisdom, you already have a slide deck, but a lot of that is you have to make it from scratch. So one of the things I talk about with teachers who are a little reticent to use Nearpod is that Nearpod can be what we started this session with. It can be a teacher, live participation, Kahoot, quizzes, style. We're all following along. We're all going together slide by slide. Or Nearpod can be one of your best friends for differentiation. And so the way that that sort of works, I always say to folks that I'm working with, like some of the best places to think about differentiation are with your fast finishers and your I have no idea what you're talking about, those two students. And right now, I'll give you 2 seconds to imagine one of each of those from your class. You just found them. So we've got that kid who's like, I'm done. And you literally just started independent work 6 minutes ago. You're like, I don't have anything extra for you today. And then you have the kid who has been sitting there for the same 6 minutes, looks up, nothing on the paper. I have no idea what you're talking about. And this student maybe doesn't have a lot of prior knowledge on this topic of the subject and needs a little bit of backfill. And that's where the following two pieces kind of work together for me. So you'll notice here in Nearpod, you can search by a topic or standard right here at the top. Or down on the left side, there's the Nearpod library, which I can also search by topic or standard. So there's a lot of pre-made content. But unlike a lot of other pre-made content in the marketplace right now, all of this is human-made. There are AI tools in Nearpod, but this stuff is made by people. Nearpod had the prescience to hire an in-house educative writing staff, former teachers and content specialists who actually create their content. And so when you come into here and you're looking for something about Lunar New Year and you have nothing, but you want to explain to the kids why we have off in 7 days, you can go into Nearpod and find Lunar New Year things. So there's 8 things currently in Nearpod. And as you see in the corners, you can see what grades they're intended for, what type of activity are. This one is a video. But you can also, let's go up here real quick, and let's just say I want something on theme, like Michael said. It will actually bring me back all of these sort of responses. And I can say, well, I think Michael had said it was 3rd or 4th grade. So I can say, I just want to see the ones for 3rd and 4th grade. I don't want to do a video. I actually want to do a full lesson. I click on lesson. And I'm not saying this is real, but I wish that this had been around on those pop-up surprise I got to write subplan days. Give everybody a second to register that one too. Like Michael yesterday anticipated he'd be here today and now he's home. But we don't have students, but what are his students doing? And this is where you can actually come in and find folktales and tall tales, themes from the Nearpod team. And for any one of these, you can simply click on it and preview that content. So I can go through and see all of it. I can change, but read the passage, fill in the graphic organizer. I might not use those because our student Chromebooks are kind of hard to manipulate, but I might like this multiple choice. Read the following passage. What is the theme? And so if I like it, I'll pretend I do. I click on add to my lessons. And immediately that changes to edit lesson. So I can click on edit lesson. It brings me back into the editor. I've created nothing at this point. I just typed a search and here's a whole thing. I had said before, maybe I previewed it and I don't like the drawings. Okay, I can delete things. I can change things. Everything here is changeable, alterable. I loved the quiz, but I want to change one of the questions. I can come through here. No, I want this one to be a different thing and I want it to have a different answer. I can change all of those things. And then when I'm ready, I have to type something there. When I'm ready, I hit save and exit. And now I feel myself coming down with something on a Tuesday and I have something ready for Wednesday that I can share to students. So I'm going to exit back to the main screen here, and it's going to land in my dashboard. And there is my, I didn't hardly do anything. I made sure I read it. Don't just search for content, throw it in front of students. We have to make sure we know what we're handing to students. But preview it, and if it looks right, you can trust that it's not going to have spelling mistakes and all that. This isn't Pinterest. It isn't Teachers Pay Teachers. It's made by real people, and they have vetted it and made sure that it's good. You'll also notice, I don't know if you saw this, that Publishers is up here. So you can actually go to Publishers, and they have BBC, they have PBS Kids, Nat Geo Kids, they've got Nova, TED Talks, all sorts of stuff built right into the platform. And then what I can do, let's say we're back, not subplans, but fast finishers or something. Let's say this is just that extension activity that I just made up on the fly for a kid. I can go teach, and now I hit student paste, not live participation. This will give me a link that I can share through Google Classroom or just copy that link. And I'm just going to quickly copy that link and come back out here because when I go to a new tab and I paste and go to that link, it's going to bring me to the student join. So this could just be sitting in Google Classroom. I can assign it to one kid or all the kids or whatever. But now that I join the lesson, it's student paced mode. It walks me through, maybe it's got a video, maybe it's got these multiple choice questions, but I'm going to get all that information back. And so the student who's on long-term absence, who's a fast finisher, who doesn't understand the concept and needs some backfill, all of those things can be handled with some very simple Nearpod content. So what we're going to do right now for just a quick moment is give you a chance to use that search bar. You can search by standards. So if I do type in theme, you'll notice that, oh, I switched to student mode. I'm not in teacher mode, but you actually can search directly by your standards with the filter standard thing and go across New York State, Common Core, all that sort of stuff. So take a couple minutes right now. It is 3:30. We're going to wrap up with one last thing in a moment, but take a couple minutes to look through and see what that content looks like and if there's something for you in it. And we really do hope this is a tip of the iceberg sort of thing for you, just to understand how to get into things. So take another couple moments if you are in the midst of a search. And if you see something that you think is kind of cool, hit add to my lessons, and then it will appear on your dashboard. And then if you really don't want it, you can come right back out here and just click delete and get rid of it. So it doesn't have to sit there for very long if you end up previewing it and you don't like it. So I tend to do that. I sort of go through, this one looks neat, that one looks neat. I throw them in my dashboard, and then I look at them for real to see if I want to use them with my students. And so the final two parts, because the report section is essential, so I do want to show real quick what you get as the teacher once the students have done all this. So after a lesson has been run, I can go to post session reports. I'm also help with the, Michael and I help with the admin side, so we have extra things that you won't have in yours. But here is Nearpod. It's more than you know, the deck that we just ran today. And when I click on it, it will tell me This was that live participation with my 18 students at 2:43 p.m. I can edit the name of that, so I can call it period 2 or tortoise in the hare or whatever I want to call it. And then when I click on that link, it will bring me into my post-session report. And this is what you as the teacher get. You get a summary of the entire activity. We did 6 activities together, 18 students. And again, because we're running multiple things, it's taking a little bit longer. But what's really nice about this is as I come across, I can sort of look at what students were able to participate and not able to participate. What's This is a participation percentage, how many total things were participated with. Here's the poll, how many did that. But then the video, those are actual scores based on what I said were the right answers in the video. So it will come back with those sort of things. The time to climb is a scored one, so those are actual scores. But I have that for all of my students, or I can do an activity report and look at the poll afterward, and this is the entirety of the poll, or I can look at the collaboration board afterward, and it will bring me, I can go into the view only version of that and actually see what my students had posted. It'll have all the names because no longer is it necessary to blind the names of the students, because this is something you would not have on the board in front of the students. This is you at your desk on your own planning time looking at it. And then you also can go right down to the student report level. So if I really need to, since she's our rock star of the day, if I really need to get in contact with Jolie Smith's parents and talk about her 78% participation. I'm just messing around, Julie. But I have just her parts that I can go back and use this as a formative assessment and start to really see, okay, I thought my class knew theme, but they don't know theme. I thought that my fast finishers could really surge ahead and they need a little bit extra help. Now I can see that the kid who had no idea what I meant when I said American colonies now knows what I mean when I said American colonies, because I found some Nearpod content that helped fill that gap. And so those post-session reports become the last step in the process, and you can do student reports or entire lesson reports downloaded right from Nearpod and get those out into your drive where you can work with them at data meetings and whatnot. So sometimes the it grades itself thing of Nearpod, where you could launch using that AI generator or your own questions, multiple choice questions, time to climbs, those video content, where you can actually launch things and have students interfacing with it, and you get a score back because you already set up the answer key, like a Google form. You can get some data around things that you might not have data about in a fairly quick way. And that, Michael, am I missing anything? Let's check our slide deck here real quick. We did content library. We did student experience and the teacher reports. Great for last minute lessons, sub plans, or spur of the moment curiosity. I like that one too. Like, it's Tuesday next week. What is Lunar New Year? I can go on the internet and sort of search with the class, or I can see if Nearpod has a neat little deck around that. And then finally, here we go. So I had mentioned the Nearpod PD book. It is right here. It will bring you in. It has a lot of the video content in this book is stuff that was made by Nearpod. So, staff, students, beginner's guide, it's a YouTube playlist, and it'll bring you out and walk you through individual tools, show you how to use things. So if you saw the collaboration board and you really want to use the collaboration board today, you can sort of scroll through their videos and learn how to use a time to climb or that sort of thing. Patriot Tech Camp. Michael, go ahead. Get it.
So, as Andy said, I believe he said cheap plug or whatever we said about Patriot Tech Camp, but our now third annual Patriot Tech Camp will be held on March 1st, 2025. It is a Saturday. It is an awesome day. I know that, that hopefully that Saturday line didn't throw too many people off, but it is a Saturday. It is an awesome day. It will be held at Schenectady High School. Much like the Jeffersons, we're moving on up. We outgrew Oneida Middle School. We ran out of parking. So if you have not been, just a quick little 30-second, it is a day with multiple sessions where you can choose your own session to go to. Each session each time slot usually features 6 to 7 sessions. So you can choose exactly what you want to go to. The session choices will be out way ahead of time, and we've already got a ton of them. We actually might get to the point where we actually have to cut back and tell people no, they can't present because we're running out of slots and rooms, which is a great luxury to have. It is a paid opportunity. There will be some light. It's a little bit different. There's going to be some light snacks and breakfasty kind of stuff, but we're going to get you out of there hopefully for lunchtime so you can go and enjoy the rest of your day. So there is a link there if you are interested in attending and or presenting. I mean, we would love to. Someone gave us a great presentation or idea yesterday, and we would love to have them present. So you can do it with yourself. You can do it with a partner. We are looking to really, and again, this is run by myself, Andy, and Rick, and we are, Andy, Rick, and myself, Andy, Rick, and I. And then with Kurt's blessing, who basically just says yes to everything, which makes him the best boss ever. And it's a great fun day to learn kind of alongside. It is very, very, very teacher centric. Yes, we do work for the Office of Teaching and Learning, but it is basically by teachers for teachers, and it's just a great day. So that is Patriot Tech Camp. With about 5 minutes to go, I'm going to spend about 2 minutes talking about just some of the pay-in sheets and the feedback form. So
I'm going to stop the recording because I don't think this has to be in the recording. And there we go.